Alright guys, we are back on the road, headed to Needles. So I thought Mount Rushmore was first stop, but I guess it's the last stop. So Needles, and then something else, and then Mount Rushmore. I think they were maybe talking about Crazy Horse or something too. I don't know. I'm just following these guys. Good lunch, man. It was a buffet. I only had a little bit. Didn't go as hard as I normally would because we got a lot of riding to do. I don't want to feel miserable. See if we can power through this next part of this story of me quitting my job. This probably turned out to be a long one so far, but hey, sorry guys, it is a significant thing for me, man. So we were to the part where I was basically talking about all these extra responsibilities that job B was putting on me. They basically started discovering little by little that I was able to do all these extra creative things, and I was able to do them because of my previous experiences. The reason that I knew as much about editing and video editing and videography and stuff like that is because of YouTube and doing the Moto vlog, which they didn't know about. And then I knew about audio engineering because, of school, and obviously graphic design, which is what I was hired for because, that previous side hustle that got me into it. And whenever you have an employer that hires you for a specific job, like there's a contract, I was employed by them to basically take care of certain responsibilities like within my job role. And I wasn't anything against like taking on these extra responsibilities because, like I said, it was a challenge. But whenever it became too much of a challenge and too much for one person is when it just kind of started getting to the point where it was like, well, this isn't exactly what I imagined it would be. Like I said, there was definitely a lot more stressors that came with managing these multiple jobs. I think it would have been a lot smoother of a workflow had my manager implemented an actual schedule and everything wasn't due right now. That made it really incredibly stressful. So like I said, we had on contracts that I would be in office 2 days a week and remote 3 days a week. So it was pretty much at this point that they were doing 2 days a week, and then they kept on calling me in, and I was doing between like 2 to 3 at first, and then I started doing like 3 to 4, and then they basically started saying like, hey, we need you in a dedicated 3 to 4, and I told them, well, like the contract says 2, that's a lot more driving, and I wouldn't have taken the job originally if you guys were requiring me to be here 3 to 4 days a week, because that's just, like I said, it's a 3-hour round trip. If we're talking 6 hours of driving per week, that's manageable. It doesn't drive me crazy, versus 12 hours per week, which would be, 4 days, and then 5, we're talking about 15 hours a week driving minimum. That's without traffic. That was the average time. There was one time it took me like 3 hours to get home because traffic was bad on the interstate, and it was just like, that sucked. Dead stop, wreck. And then we're talking like an increase in tolls as well, and so we were talking like toll roads basically became an extra bill. And so finally they basically ended up just saying like, hey, look, we can't have you working remote. We need you in the office 5 days a week. Like, we need a commitment to 5 days a week. And so I was like, well, that doesn't really work for me. The stuff that I was doing originally, I was able to do remote, which, like I said, was design and development, so I didn't need to be in office for that. They could just give me like an idea of what they needed done and I could do it. Didn't have to be in office. But with podcast recording, with videography stuff, with needing to proof, print designs, stuff like that, I needed to be in the office for that, which is understandable. And so it was like, you guys are basically giving me these multiple roles, like, why don't we find somebody that can do that role and they will be your in-office person? I can basically go back to what I was doing, and they basically weren't for either of those options. At this point, like, my YouTube channel had grown to the couple of 100,000 subscribers. I want to say it was like maybe like 250,000-ish. I think we were approaching like 300,000. I was starting to miss opportunities on the YouTube side because of my 9-to-5 job, and the opportunities that I was missing on the YouTube side, I know would have essentially paid for themselves. One of the things that, like, I don't really mention it a lot on the channel because I'm just doing things that I love, which is riding motorcycles. Like, dude, this is awesome right now, and I'm incredibly grateful. And all this that I'm explaining up until like quitting my job is the road that has been paved that has led me here. And so, not everybody's journey is the same, and this is my journey. I did start noticing there were opportunities that I was starting to miss because of my 9-to-5 job. I was basically having to use like paid time off a lot more, and I was just absolutely burning through my paid time off like incredibly quickly. Once I was out, like there was basically no more, and like I just had to start missing opportunities. And you know, like I was saying, that what I don't really talk about too much is the business side of the channel. A lot of people out there kind of fail to realize, you know, even though it is fun, and you know, we're out here and we're just, you know, riding motorcycles and it seems all good, like there is a business side to it. There's you know, stuff that you're looking at in terms of obviously analytics, any monetary relation to the channel, like is it going to be worth going on this trip in terms of like, you know, performance, blah blah blah. Like there's a lot of things that are considered. Whenever I buy a motorcycle, I'm not just like, you know, off the cuff buying a motorcycle. Like usually there's a good business decision behind it in terms of diversifying content, attracting, you know, like a different demographic. It's all like a learning process, but there are strategic moves that are made. And so whenever I basically started missing out on opportunities that would be beneficial to this brand that I'm creating, you know, that has been something that I started doing out of just a passion that I have for motorcycles. And my other job, basically, which is a really great job, this is the company that I was talking about. The whole reason I was like, you know, not doing a face reveal is because they're a very, very great company. They're still a great company. The owner, absolutely awesome person. He's definitely one of my mentors. Look up to him a lot. I ended up having to sit down with him because they didn't take either one of those options that I gave them, and they were like, okay, well, you've got a meeting with the owner of the company on, you know, this day. And so I was like, okay. So I'm freaking the hell out because I don't want to commit and say like, yes, I'll be here 5 days a week, which is what I know that they want, and they're not really willing, from the sounds of it, to take any other answer. And so like I asked, I'm like, okay, like if I were to do 5 days a week, I even entertained it a little bit. I said, if I were to do 5 days a week, would there be additional compensation, because it's going to cost me more money to basically drive here an additional 3 days a week. I factored it all up in terms of like gas mileage, cost of gas at the time, as well as tolls, and it was like a couple $1,000s more per month just to drive. So when driving to your job becomes an extra expense, you would expect to be compensated for that, but that was not met with enthusiasm on their end. They basically said like, no, you're already paid pretty well, so there wouldn't be any additional compensation, which doesn't really give me any incentive to say yes. Why would I not just continue what I'm doing already, that I'm getting paid this amount to do, where our contract is, you know, 2 days here, 3 days remote? Why would I not just continue to do that instead of like taking on these new responsibilities, which you guys are asking me to do? Essentially, they created an entire creative department around me. You know, why would I take those extra responsibilities and lose money? Didn't make sense to me. All right, good turn. And so I ended up meeting with the owner. I sat down and I had gone back and forth with my friends. I was like, guys, you know, like Blockhead crew, like close friends, family, stuff like that. I was like, look, this is a really good job, man. I'm awesome benefits, you know, retirement matching, like all that good stuff. Really, really great company, great morals of the company. Like they were very involved in charities, and I was like just really happy and proud to be a part of, you know, this company that, you know, in my opinion, like I really believed in the product, believed in their goal, which what they're doing, and I'm going to be super vague, but what they're doing, I think will definitely change the world for the better. So that was creatively fulfilling, knowing I was a part of something like that. Oh my God, this is beautiful. Had I not quit my job, I wouldn't be here right now. So it comes to a head basically, and I end up having to sit down one-on-one with the owner, which I was happy to, because after I had talked to my friends, I basically said, guys, like this has come to this point of either choosing the company or choosing myself, because oh my God, this little rock tunnel, rock lobster. Rev bomb. Not much of one. We got to get a proper exhaust on this thing. So I'm so obviously distracted by like the natural, amazing scenery here. Beautiful Scenery here, man. Definitely gonna be coming back next year. Hells yeah. Look at this. So yeah, I had talked with my friends, I had talked with my family, basically saying it's either, you know, I choose this company and, you know, dive in, or I quit and I choose myself and I dive in. And so, you know, they'd obviously seen how much work and effort and dedication that I'd put towards, you know, Blockhead, and it, you know, establishing it, getting a consistent like release schedule, and, you know, branding and just all sorts of stuff. Like there's a lot that goes into creating a brand that, you know, you guys don't see. It's just kind of there, but a lot of work, you know, behind the scenes that, like, we even now we're continuing to do. So everybody was like a huge advocate for me choosing Blockhead and not going to this 9-to-5 job 5 days a week. They were all about committing to the channel because they all thought, yeah, like it'll be a success. So I was nervous as hell, man. I was having anxiety, you know, panic attacks, all that stuff. It sucked. It was really difficult, like, because like they had set this meeting for like a week out, and then one of them got canceled, and I was like, great. So I'm like halfway expecting to go into this meeting, like, you know, am I going to get fired? Are they going to try to convince me? Like, what are they going to do? So time of the meeting comes around. I sit down. I go into work like it's normal every other day. Owner comes over to me after a couple hours of being there, you know, says, hey, we go in this room. He's talking to me, how's things going, blah, 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 what you working on, asking me how the family is. Really just great guy. Proud to call him, you know, my boss. He basically cuts to it after that, and he's like, you know, your manager's basically saying, like, you're doing good work, and, you know, you're an asset to the team. What do we have to do to get you to be here 5 days a week? You know, we need you in the office 5 days a week. Now keep in mind, this owner, one of the things that he had previously said, you do not live to work, you work to live. Your job should add value to your life. I'm a firm believer in that. Your existence is not to basically work. Your job should be adding some kind of value to your life. For the most part, that job was adding value to my life, but it started becoming a little more lopsided once, you know, I started doing all this extra, the job of an entire creative agency, but one person. So with that in mind, basically told him, whether he knows it or not, he's one of my mentors, and that I greatly appreciate, you know, all the opportunity that he's given me, and I really appreciate the challenges that, oh my God. Guys, I'm gonna shut up for a second. This is just, look at this. Holy shit, it's amazing. Wow, what are we even in right now? Needles Eye Tunnel. Wow. Wow. This is crazy. Dude, who was like, you know, we should put a road right there. Wow. Oh, no way. Needles Eye Tunnel. Oh, what the hell? What the fuck? Dude, this is nuts. That's cool. Think you can jump that? I mean, you got a rev bomb going through this thing, you know? Time to get back down this. Done a lot of climbing in my day, trails and hikes and all that stuff. One of the more difficult things that people don't tell you about, climbing down is usually harder than climbing up. I feel like I'm in that one movie. What is it, like 127 hours or whatever? All right, guys, our kickstand's back up, about to go through this tunnel. Oh, look at this guy's hat. It's like ram horns. That's cool. How cool is that? Rev bomb with the stock exhaust. Oh man. All right, off to the next part, guys. Man, I gotta get done with the story. Okay, so I sit down with the owner. Private meeting, head to head. I tell him, you're one of my mentors. I talk to him about him saying, you don't live to work, you work to live. Jobs should be adding value to your life, kind of thing. You know, I told him I'm very appreciative of the opportunities that him and the company have given me, and the responsibilities that they've trusted me with, and happy to be able to, you know, bring the skill set that I have to better serve the company. Like, you know, like I said, I really believe in and appreciate the company. Woo! Can't forget I'm on knobby tires. Last time I took curves at a good speed on knobby tires, it did not end well. This my shit. All the girls stomp your feet like this. As I'm telling him these things, you know, he's very appreciative, and he pretty much kind of knows the direction that it's going. And so, him being an entrepreneur himself, I basically tell him that I have the opportunity to dive in and start my own company. And without any hesitation, he says, yes, full support, go for it. Like I said, that job, they didn't know what I was doing, and so they probably thought I was going into like some kind of, you know, graphic, you know, design workflow of, you know, having my own clients and stuff like that. And so, you know, he was supportive enough to say, you know, we'd love to be like one of your first clients. At that point, what we did was we actually had talked about not going part-time, but basically me working as a contractor for him, because, you know, obviously they still needed work done. They were bringing on this new person. I had a couple sessions with this new person where I basically was explaining my workflow. It was pretty green, seemed like it was a bit overwhelming for him. So, you know, I did what I could to make the transition a little bit easier. I was under the impression that, like, you know, whenever I left, that I told them, you know, I'm going to basically save 2 days a week to work on y'all's stuff. And I saved like Monday, Tuesdays, you know, so that I would have just kind of my traditional workflow of where I was going to the office, except not going into the office, but just, you know, remote. And I told them if they need me in the office like 1 day a week, like that I could totally do that. Dude, Matt is a baller here. He's like one-handed going around these curves holding a GoPro, filming backwards. What a badass. So yeah, I end up, you know, having my last day. I pack my stuff, go home, and pretty much I'm ready to like kind of get started with like the YouTube thing full time, committing to it 100%, and then having like my main 9-to-5 job become like my secondary thing instead of my primary. That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought I was going to have time to continue to like contribute to this company, like I said, because I really believed in it, wanted to be a part of it. Well, the previous manager that I talked about that didn't know how to manage people kept on contacting me and asking me how to do work. This was stuff that like it's not really easily explainable. It's like, you know, I can kind of explain it, but like I'm not trying to give away the keys to the castle. I'm not giving work for free. Like, this is, you know, what I went to school for. This is what I learned. I'm gonna kind of, you know, guide that person in the right direction, but like I'm not gonna tell you how to how to do it. It's like, this is what we agreed to contract me for. And so that manager, I think, was feeling kind of spiteful and didn't hire me for any work for a little over a month. And I mean, I'm not going to sit on my hands for 2 days a week, you know, so for a month that would be 8 days. Rather than like just sitting on my hands, like waiting around for them, twiddling my thumbs, I filled those days with work, you know, with doing stuff for YouTube, you know, filming videos, editing, you know, graphics, whatever it might be, you know, the many hats that you have to wear whenever you run a YouTube channel. So whenever they ended up getting back to me and they're like, hey, we got some work for you, I told them, I'm like, guys, like, I'm really sorry. This other opportunity has really taken up way more of my time than I thought it would. Once I committed to it, you know, 100%, I really don't have time to also work on the stuff that you guys are wanting to hand to me and get it back to you in a decent timeline. I feel that it would be a detriment because I'm not going to be able to hit y'all's timeline goals. And so that was pretty much it. You know, it just kind of fell off. It's like now I no longer had a manager. I no longer had to wake up at, you know, 7 a.m. to drive an hour and a half to be at this job by, you know, 9 o'clock. I no longer had to sit in traffic. I no longer had all these projects that were somebody else's projects, you know, like on my plate that I absolutely had to complete ASAP, ASAP, ASAP. So that stress was gone. And instead it was replaced with motorcycles, just all freaking motorcycles. And so after a while, these opportunities that I kept on missing because of my 9 to 5, they started coming up again. And instead of me having to say no because my schedule didn't allow it and I wasn't able to, I was now able to say yes to stuff like going to Phoenix, going to Sedona, going to Los Angeles, coming to Sturgis to try out the Pan America. Getting to take a hold of opportunities like this, while also, since my timeline did open up, I was able to also start committing more towards builds like Goldzilla. I thought it would open up my schedule enough to be able to commit a little bit more time towards like building the giveaway bikes, so the 3 giveaway bikes. That's why one of the reasons that I did that is because, you know, my timeline was open up a little bit more. It just drastically changed everything, but that's pretty much how I quit my job. I was kind of backed into a corner, and it was let me shut up for a second, just enjoy this. Yeah, I was backed into a corner by my job. You know, they wanted me to basically go from 2 days in office, 3 days remote to 5 days in office with no additional compensation. They gave me way more responsibilities than what I was originally hired on for, which I was more than happy to do because it was challenging, it was fulfilling. But whenever they basically said 5 days a week in office, that's 15 hours driving per week. If you're talking about a 40-hour work week, stack on an additional 15 hours of that committed to just your job, which that's too much for me. That's basically like living to work and not working to live. And so it became unbalanced. That's where I had to make this decision. You know, do I leave this job that is paying me incredibly well, that's giving me benefits, that's perk, but then here's the cons, here's the pros of me diving into the YouTube channel and doing it full time for myself instead of working for somebody else. I'm not working for me. What are the perks of that? What are the cons of that? What are the risks? And the risks are huge. And the one thing that I have been able to rely on is you guys. And that's why this works, is because, you know, I try to maintain a consistent schedule. I try to maintain consistent quality. We're always kind of working towards the next step. We don't want to become stagnant. You guys notice I'm using the term we now. Blockhead is not just me anymore. You know, Blockhead is the name of the channel. Blockhead is the name of the brand. You guys see me as Blockhead because I'm the personality behind it, right? Blockhead is a team. Blockhead is myself and Captain Anna and Blockhead crew and Chris, Sick Wide Glide. I'm not alone in this anymore. Blockhead is more than me. I have had to release and trust Anna with a lot of responsibilities because I would not have been able to make it to the point that I am now with the brand without her, because it's, once you get to a certain point, it's too much for one person to handle. And so, you know, she started out as, you know, helping out with brand management, correspondence, and she's now to the point of basically like operations manager. She's handling so many things on like projects that we have incoming as well. Like, it just would not be possible without her. So Anna, big shout out to you. Like, I really appreciate all the help. I hope you know that. I know you do because I tell you. To Chris, Sick Wad Glide, for all the effort, you know, like the whole new dynamic that, you know, has come from being able to collaborate with him has been awesome. So Chris, I appreciate you as well, man. To all you subscribers, like, this would not be possible without you guys. And it's one of those things, like, whenever I did quit my job and I started doing this full time, it was kind of like, well, I kind of don't want to say anything because I want to see how like it's gonna go at first. In the back of my head, it's like, what if I fail? And we always have that like little what if in the back. There's always that thought of what if. Man, those can get like really, really bad. Those can give you like crazy anxiety and stress. You know, I definitely went down that rabbit hole and was giving myself panic attacks and anxiety, and like, even just thinking about it now, I feel it in my shoulders already. It's where I carry my anxieties, my left shoulder, man. It sucks. I didn't let those what ifs get the better of me. They did at first, I think, but I had my friends and family and community basically kind of say like, no man, like, look, you got this, you do a good job. You've hustled for a long time. You've built this thing from nothing, and it deserves to be given 100%. Because if I were to have chosen the job and said, yeah, my life would have taken such a different turn. I wouldn't be here right now. That's for damn sure. I'd be in the whole 9-to-5 corporate world. It would just be much different because I wouldn't have wanted to continue to make that commute, which means I probably would have left and sold my house, which means leaving Orlando, which means leaving a lot of my friends who I consider family, not like furthering this brand. The channel definitely would have taken a hit. I maybe would have been able to do like one video a week, if that much time dedicated to a job, not having any other like free time. I essentially worked 2 jobs, like 2 full-time jobs for 4 years. I did my regular 9-to-5 job, and then I also did YouTube back to back. So if you guys like line up that timeline, yes, I quit my job quite a bit ago, but I didn't want to tell you guys because I wanted to see how everything went for a while before committing 100% to this. I already did commit 100% to this a while back, but I just didn't let you all know. And so I had this question come up on our Discord server not too long ago. People basically saying, you've been traveling a lot, you've been experiencing a lot of these opportunities with bike manufacturers being able to come out and do stuff like this. How are you able to do all this stuff like with your job? And I came clean. I was like, actually, you know, I haven't told anybody this. I haven't let the community know, but I quit. We're doing YouTube full time now, guys. So I just felt like this would be such an incredible place to be able to share that news with you guys. I mean, like I said, I was standing on the side of the road earlier, and I basically smelled the roses. Stop and reflect and see where you are. And I am in South Dakota at Sturgis for the first year. Harley-Davidson invited me out. I don't know if you guys know this, but whenever I was at 10,000 subscribers a few years ago, I took a resume of the channel, like basically a resume built for the channel, to my local Harley-Davidson dealership, and I turned it into them, and I turned it into their marketing department, and I said, hey, I would like to work with you guys. This is my channel, this is what I do, this is the performance, these are all the metrics. I was interested in working with the dealership to learn more about the bikes, to promote the bikes, to make videos, all that stuff, basically where the test rides came from. And you guys know what they told me? They told me no. They told me no, that they didn't want to work with me at 10,000 subscribers. And I did not let that deter me. It did not stop me from finding a way to do those things that I wanted to do. And after a while, they realized, oh, like it's beneficial that we work with him because we're starting to get phone calls from all over the world. Like they would get calls from Australia and Switzerland and, you know, people basically calling the dealership. I started working with, you know, other dealerships, and we started working with other brands, and it just kind of grew and grew, and it was very organic. It was very natural. You know, we kind of found our stride in like a couple different formats for videos that we make for you guys. And I say we because also another person that I need to add to that list is Justin James, my editor. I really appreciate you, Justin, man. It's like bringing an editor on board who has been a fan of the channel for a long time, that really like just gets the style, is awesome. He has been just an absolute asset to the team. So Justin, man, I really appreciate you. All right. Getting going a little bit. I think it's incredibly important to practice gratitude. And I know this episode's running long, guys. I really do. But this is like, it's a massive step and a massive change in my life. And I've always like wanted to be able to connect with this community on a personal level where I'm able to. There are things that I obviously do want to keep private, but you know, the more that you share online, it's like the more that you can't take back. And so it's kind of a double-edged sword, but where I am able to share stuff, like I really want to be able to and let you guys know what's going on in my life. And this is something that obviously directly impacts the channel and something that you guys should know. I quit my job and we're full-time YouTube now, which should come as no surprise to you guys that have been paying attention to all the opportunities and things that I am able to do, or have been doing, rather. I'm avoiding these potholes like I'm not riding a Pan America. like roll over there if I want to. So yeah, with that news, I know there's going to be many of you guys down in the comment section that say, face reveal, where's the face reveal? We'll talk in another episode about it as well, you know, probably a follow-up episode very soon after this one, what that entails. I have to be kind of vague about it for the moment, but you guys will see, you know, whenever I announce some more next time around. That's a hella long story, guys, so for those of you that are still here and that are still listening, like, I really appreciate it. As you can see, like, one thing led to the next thing, led to the next thing, and it's just like this whole, I don't even know, like, you know, the butterfly effect, the flap of a butterfly's wing, like, way over here impacts stuff way over here. And so there's so many things along that whole timeline that have put me into the position that I am in right now of doing YouTube full time. I've watched creators before, and one of the things a lot of them say is, like, you know, what makes for a successful or doing YouTube? I'm very much of the mindset that, you know, passion drives it first and foremost. But I've kind of always been doing stuff exactly like I'm doing right now. I just happen to kind of refine the skill sets over my experiences that I've had from learning to do graphic design, which led to audio engineering as well, which led to taking an elective for video editing, which led to, you know, it was like one thing after the next thing after the next thing. And so it's kind of interesting to kind of go back in, you know, your life or my life and see how one thing led to the next. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Yeah, I don't want to get too much more long-winded. That's pretty much the story, guys. My job backed me into a corner, and I chose me. And I chose me because of you guys, because of this community that has grown around Blockhead Moto. I wouldn't have done it without y'all, because I wouldn't be able to do it without y'all. If you guys were to stop watching the videos tomorrow, I would have to find another 9 to 5. So I really appreciate you guys watching the videos. I really appreciate you guys hitting the like button. Like, the impact that you've had on my life is just, there's no amount of words that I can say that, like, really, I don't know, can share or speak well enough about how much, like, this whole thing has changed my life. And I've definitely worked hard towards it. I've tried to maintain a consistent schedule and up the quality and continue to challenge myself and refine the brand. And we are going to continue to, because there's even bigger news than me quitting my job coming up very soon. And I've kind of hinted at it in some videos previously, saying, you know, we're making moves, talking about building a foundation for this brand, and very soon, guys, we'll be letting you know. Anyways, thank you guys all for listening to me ramble. I really appreciate it. This has been a long damn video. I know it has. But I hope you guys have enjoyed the scenery. I hope you have enjoyed the story. Once again, thank all you guys for your continued support. I really, really appreciate it. It has absolutely changed my life. Thank you to Harley-Davidson for the opportunity, you know, coming out here, being able to look at this, being able to ride out here. Looking forward to future continued opportunities, guys. More to come. I cannot wait to share with you guys the plans that we have. I am so excited. There it is in the distance. Check it out, guys, Mount Rushmore. Check it out, guys, it's George Washington, the original Blockhead. Yeah, I'll see myself out. Alright, guys, well, hey, figured this was a good spot as any to basically break this news to y'all, so hopefully it has landed well with you. If you guys enjoyed the video, do me a favor, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed already, be sure to hit subscribe, hit the bell icon also so it sends you notifications of future uploads and activity. Until next time, ride safe out there, stay vigilant. Catch you guys in the next one. Hoo.